I think as I started, the conversation, I think it's such an important question for a person nowadays to have this, appreciation towards what we have around us. And I think it's so, upsetting that most of the people don't have that. Um, do you think that, you know, having this level of appreciation for everything that's around us is something that you can develop and open yourself to? Or do you think it's more about a character specification that if you don't have, you just don't have?
No, I think that has the everybody is capable of everything, in my opinion. It's that drive and determination, and life will, guide you sometimes. You have no choice. A lot of your situation. I am exceedingly lucky to be able to go to some of these places that are extremely difficult, if not restricted. So for that, again, I am more than grateful, and I understand that I am, very privileged in that sense, but I believe that there's an old Aboriginal saying, the North American Aboriginal, that within you there are two wolves.
Yes.
One is good and one is bad. It's the one you feed is the one that's strong, right? I love that. I believe in that. And I think that, if you want to change that perspective, you can. But there's a certain, amount of resistance to change. Everyone has. I mean, I do. There's a certain hurt people, right? Never.
Yeah.
So we've all had our traumas. Everyone has. Everyone does.
Absolutely.
No matter. You look at someone, you're like, this is a hateful person. To me, I look at that person, I say, well, what is it in their world? Because no one is born this way. No one is, you are created and you feed a certain wolf to get to there, but you can feed a different one. You can absolutely pick a different path, right? The motivation is, there's a reward gratification system within all of us. What I say some crap on the internet and it blows up, right? That's my reward for saying that crap, right? And it sort of comes back, and that's the instant gratification. But there are other forms. You just have to find the direction to go, right? And what's really, really hard is that a lot of time there's no one and nothing to show that there's another direction. So, stick in the path that they're going for. I don't think anybody out there is purely evil, is purely bad, is purely well. There's a couple of varieties that need to do, but for me, they need heavy therapy, right? And then repercussions for the things they've done. But I do believe that there is reconciliation and salvation for anybody who searches for it.
That's amazing. I do believe that as well. As you've mentioned, everything is, every fact has a reason, right? So it's inevitable. So have you found yourself in a position where you had to discipline yourself to assess a certain situation in a different way? Maybe because of of a heavy daily routine or whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't want to travel, I'm exhausted, I just want to stay. And after that, you're like, hey, I'm privileged enough to have this opportunity. I should not think about like that. Have you had the moments of this sort?
All the time, all the time. It's like, I mean, we all fall for that. We all do. So all the time, it's like, oh, boo, I gotta go to this thing. And then I stop myself. I'm like, shut up. Like, look where you are. Oh no, right? Like, what are you even thinking? Like, for my birthday, I got to go into Stonehenge. Like within the stones, I get to wander around in Stonehenge. I mean, that is spectacular. And no, you find yourself to be all the time. And my personal demon is driving.
Yeah,
I get impatient.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, that guy is, and I said, no, they're not. Just stop. Like, yes, they could conceivably go the speed limit. I'd be happy with that, but I don't know what their situation is. They could, I mean, just breathe. Just don't and we all fall for these certain, traps out in the world. It's inevitable. It's human. So, yeah.
I think it's, that's why it's important sometimes for us to be understanding towards ourselves as well, because sometimes this is backfiring a bit too.
Absolutely. Everyone's, an artist's worst critic, you know who that is?
Himself.
I'll tell you another stupid Renoir story. I love
it. Please do.
All artists have a system to figure out when they are done painting something, because otherwise we'll keep painting it until we ruin it. There has to be a point. My philosophy or my theory behind it is that from when you start the painting to when you more or less finish the painting, you've changed just enough that you might want to try something different from the start again. And then do it, and then do it again, and then you can turn it into a big block of mud.
Yeah.
So every artist has a different system for when they're done painting a painting, right? For me, it's when there is nothing more I need to do, just something I might fix. That's when I know I'm done, right? Right? If I just do this, no, stop. My great-grandfather had a fantastic, I love this. He was being interviewed later on in life. And funnily, by Le Figaro in Paris that, slammed him, 40 years before. And they're asking him, oh, Monsieur Renoir, your landscapes, they're beautiful, they're verdant, they're so soft and everything. How do you know when you're finished painting one of these paintings? And he tells it, and he goes, that is an excellent question. A lot of artists have a different way of deciding that. He says, but for me, it is when I wish to enter the painting and touch everything. That is when I know I am finished. And the interviewer goes, wow, that is a great answer. But wait, Monsieur Renoir, you paint beautiful, voluptuous nudes as well. How do you know when you finish painting one of those? And he goes, also a good question, but it's the same answer.
Amazing. That's, it's so interesting that, you touch on this topic, because personally, I've always, struggled to exactly find this moment to not overthink something or to stop doing it. And I've always been struggling with that. So it's such a great perspective you're giving here,
We all do. I mean, a songwriter will overwrite the song.
Exactly, yes, exactly.
A novelist will add too many words.
Exactly, yeah. But, you've mentioned your approach to that. And, you mentioned that you stop when there's just a tiny little bit thing that you would add. Yeah. But doesn't it bug you to leave it like that, knowing that you can add it?
But see, that's the thing. If the thing that I'm thinking of leaving actually bugs me, then I'm not done.
Okay.
If it's like, but if it's something that I look at and you go, if I just need just a little bit, that's when I know I'm done. But if I look at it and go, no, that's got to change, I'm not done. All right. It's when you're at the point that you look at it and you're 90% happy.
Mm-hmm.
It hardly ever gets to 100.
Yeah.
90% happy. And I look at it and I say, yeah, I like this piece. I have accomplished what I was setting out to do. I've found that balance. But if I just change this little piece over, then I know I'm done.
Yeah.
But if I look at it and I'm like, ooh, no, this has to change, that has to change.
Would you say that you're achieving this level of satisfaction and a sense of, of readiness with all of your work?
It's like asking if you have a favorite child.
Nah, yeah. Well, yeah.
You're not supposed to have a favorite child.
Yeah.
Everybody knows you have a favorite child. I know, absolutely. There are within my day of painting, within my cycle of creation for a piece.
Yeah.
Sometimes I am so beautifully within that like I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
And everything just works, and I have it's all just yes. And then sometimes you're like, no, right? I have a whole collection of pieces that will never see the light of day out there in my closet over there, right? So there are ranges of how to put it, ranges of the depth of perfection that I seek.
Okay.
Like I said, I have to be at least like 90% happy with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything really, there's a good 25%. No freaking way.
Yeah.
And this happens. Actually, what these guys are behind me are some of the paintings that I hated or it didn't work out the way I wanted. And then all the paint that I had left over at the end of the day, I just smeared on top in random patterns.
Wow.
My great-grandfather had another saying, with every new day, you need new ideas and new paint. So he never left paint behind. So I do the same. At the end of every day, I have whatever paint left over, and I throw it onto an old canvas. And I make these, it's free-form expression of light and color. And it just brightens up my room. I like it.
They're absolutely amazing, by the way. I'm so, into the impression.